All right, folks, here we go. So we're starting our new unit 6, and this is actually chapter 8 in the book. And so here we go. I'm going to start on number 6, the 6th slide, talking about sequences. You guys already probably know a ton about sequences. Basically, a sequence is just a pattern of numbers. That's what a sequence is. It's a pattern of numbers. Sometimes it's easy to see the pattern, sometimes not quite so easy to see the pattern. Sometimes the pattern is based on algebra, sometimes it's based on other things. So each term in a sequence is the numbers that it produces. So here this says find the first 5 terms, right? Find the first 5 terms. So here we go. That means if I had a sub 1, what would that be? Well, I'd plug in a 1, and 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. That would be the first term. Now the second term would be if I plugged in a 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. If I plugged in a third term, or to find the third term, I plug in a 3. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 minus 1 is 4. You probably also noticed, wait a minute, 6 minus 1 is not 4. Hello. Come on, guys. 6 minus 1 is 5. You're probably also noticing this has a specific pattern that it's adding to every time. So you could easily find the fourth term. That's going to be 7. And then the fifth term, that's going to be 9. Now the problem is to find the 100th term of the sequence. It's going to be a little tricky, except for not really, because if you want the a sub 100th term, in this case, because they give you this equation right here, then you can just plug 100 in. 2 times 100 is 200, minus 1 is 199. So that's actually not too bad. Let's go ahead and look at B. So again, we want C sub 1. So just plug a 1 in. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. C sub 2, plug in a 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. C sub 3, plug in a 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 1 is 8. C sub 4, plug in a 4. 4 squared is 16. 16 minus 1 is 15. Okay, now this one's a little bit different. Like, I mean, you can't really see, there's a pattern. 0 to 3, add 3. 3 to 8, add 5. 8 to 15, add 7. Next one's going to be add 9. So C sub 5, this should be 24. Let's see if that works. If I plug in a 5, 5 squared is 25, minus 1 is 24. Yep. So there is patterns, that way you can see. But again, the pattern won't necessarily help you get to the 100th term. But this equation right here will. So if you square 100, that's 100 times 100. That means you're going to have 4 zeros and a 1. So that'd be 10,000 minus 1 would be 9,999. Okay, you're done. That would be C of 100. Okay, let's do T, this next one here. So T sub 1. So if I'm doing T sub 1, I plug in a 1. I get 1 over 1 plus 1. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2, so that'd be 1/2. T sub 2, that'd be a 2 over 2 plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, so that's 2/3. T sub 3, plug in a 3. 3 over 4. And you'll notice this, again, sometimes you can easily see the pattern, right? The top number is going 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bottom number is going 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's not too hard. Another thing you could look at it is you could say that the top number is the same thing as the term that you're looking for, and then the bottom number is 1 more than that. So if you're looking for T sub 100, again, you can just plug 100 in, or you can say, oh, the top number is 100, the bottom number is 101, and we're done. Okay, let's look at D. All right, here we go. So for D, we get, if I want R sub 1, I plug in a 1. Negative 1 to the 1 is negative 1. 2 to the 1 is 2. R sub 2. Negative 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. R sub 3. Negative 1 to the third is negative 1. 2 to the third is 8. Okay, so R sub 4 is going to be 1 over 16, because we're multiplying by 2 on the bottom every time. R sub 5 then is going to be 1 over 32. Negative 1, sorry. Negative 1 over 32. The top switches back from negative to positive. It's just, these are sequences because they're patterns, okay? R sub 100, well, you know the top's going to be a negative 1. Or positive 1, sorry. Positive because this is going to be negative 1 to the 100. So it's an even number, so it's a positive 1. And then 2 to the 100, that's quite a big number. And so I don't have my calculator with me right now, which is kind of crazy, but you guys do. So you guys can plug in 2 to the 100 and see what you get. All right, so that's our first page. The next page I'm going to go to is page number 7. Actually, no. We're not going to go to page number 7. We're going to go to page number 8. Okay? So here, sometimes it's, sometimes the nth term of a sequence is a little tricky to find. In other words, we have to kind of come up with an equation to help us find that nth term. And sometimes they're easy and sometimes they're not so easy. Let's go ahead and take a look at these ones here. So the pattern, 1/2, 3/4, 5/6, 7/8. Maybe you're noticing a pattern here. I see a pattern. I see the top numbers are odds. They're going up by 2 every time they're odd. And the bottom numbers are even. So top number 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. We want to go to the nth one. And on the bottom one, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, which are even numbers, but we want those to be, we want to go to the nth one again. So how do we represent that? Well, for an even number, that's actually represented by 2 times n. So if n was 1, 2 times 1 is 2. If n is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. If n is 3, 2 times 3 is 6. If n is 4, 2 times 4 is 8. See how even numbers would be 2 to the n, or 2 times n? So an odd number in that case, though, then, an odd number in that case is going to be 2n, and then just subtract 1. So again, for the first term, if I plug in a 1, 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. If I plug in a 2 for the second term, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3. If I plug in the third term, 2 times 3 is 6, minus 1 is 5. So my nth term is going to be given by 2n minus 1 over 2n. That's finding the nth term. So when you're finding the nth term, you're looking kind of more for like an explicit equation that'll tell you what that nth term is. Okay? Let's look at the next one down here on B. So B, we have negative 2, 4, negative 8, 16, negative 32. So this thing's going back and forth between, positive and negative, positive and negative. Well, there's kind of 2 ways you actually could write this nth term out. If I look at it, I'm like going, well, I don't have negative 2, and I'm going to say to the nth power. That right there would work, because negative 2 to the 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 to the third is negative 8. Negative 2 to the fourth is 16. Negative 2 to the fifth is negative 32. Negative 2 to the nth, that'd be an nth. The book, though, and here they actually say that you can write it like this. Negative 1 to the nth times 2 to the nth. And you could do either one. I'm not sure that there's an advantage of one over the other. To me, this one, negative 2 to the n, makes more sense. But again, you can kind of choose. All right, so that's the first part. That's part 1. And then I'll do another video here in just a second. Okay, hope you guys are having a good time. Bye.